A final small little optimization that should help things feel a little bit more clean. Zoho, for whatever reason, has a few tabs that they make show by default in the modules tab that most of you are not going to need. Your clients won't need, at least until they get a little more advanced. So the two that jump out most often are projects and marketplace. You can't actually hide those typically. You need to click into them, and then it'll take a second and it'll show, don't show this tab again. You can click on that. Same with projects. Give it a second, it should show either that, or again, you can always go into organize modules. Yep. And uncheck by jobs and projects. So that's just a nice way we can clean things up. So if you ever have a module that shows up that you can't seem to hide kind of the typical way, go ahead and click the don't show this tab setting on it.
As we talked about fields, many of you probably had a very, very good question on your minds, which is, hey, Peter, a lot of these fields look kind of superfluous and silly, and can we maybe get rid of them? Think of it this way. We have a lead record, right? Michael Jordan on the Washington Wizards. Do we really need his Skype ID, or is that just cluttering stuff up? What about his Twitter? What the heck is rating or number of employees? Do we really care about his address? What about all those stupid test fields that you created? And on and on and on. Let's talk about how to customize the module, the actual fields in a record entry in a module, so that we can keep things really, really clean, so that the users don't have to screw around with all of these empty fields that are never going to get used. We click in the top right. Again, we're going to settings. Going back to modules and fields under customization. We're going to be dealing with the leads module. So click on leads. We'll talk about what layouts are in a little bit, but first we're just going to look at the standard layout. And you can see that Zoho actually gives you a lot of options for cleaning things up. This is the module builder. We'll spend a lot of time in here, but let's make things as simple as we possibly can.
All right. If you feel comfortable cleaning this module up and don't need help kind of walking through how to remove fields and how to move fields around, go ahead and skip this video. But if you'd like to better understand it and want my help in walking through it, then we're going to take some time right now and we're going to remove fields that we don't really care about. We're going to make a few sections to organize things around. And then in the next video, we'll make some custom fields that they'd like to track. But for now, let's just move things around and remove fields we don't care about. I don't care about facts. Click remove fields. Whoops. Whiffed on that. Yes, remove the field. Title, I'm not really one for titles. Mobile, I always get confused between the difference of phone and mobile. Most customers, you aren't getting two phone numbers for them. So I definitely like removing the mobile field. Again, it depends on the company. Number of employees doesn't matter as much at this stage. Rating, that's just a field where you can rate on a scale from 1 to 5. Not really useful for a lot of clients. Twitter, no way. Secondary email, kind of the same as the mobile. And then we might want to remove website just because there's a chance that they don't have a website. And same with annual revenue. It doesn't really, not something we really gather in the leads process. We'll leave the address information here, and I'll talk in a second in the next video about deleting these test fields actually. But now you can see that things are a lot cleaner, and we'll even organize them further to put the contact information into this section. So now we have a much cleaner, much cleaner looking leads module.
Okay, first we're going to talk about moving fields around. Very straightforward. Your browser, you should see that there's a little hand grabber as your mouse. Really, really simple to just grab a field and drag it around. So if you want to organize these guys, these fields a lot more, a lot more smartly than just dumping Skype ID next to Twitter and stuff like that, then feel free to move them around. You also can drag them into different sections, right? So pretty easy to click and drag. Okay, red fields. They're the elephants in the room. These are mandatory fields. Without filling out the mandatory field, you cannot create a lead record. So in this case, if you don't have a company field, if you don't have a last name field, then you are up a creek, right? You can't actually create a lead record without inputting that information. Why is that useful? Well, let's talk about that. Maybe as an owner, you want to make sure that no one's gunking up your CRM with leads that don't have any names. Right? What's the point in that? You need to maintain a certain level of data integrity in your CRM, and making fields mandatory helps you ensure that as people are creating records, that they aren't leaving info out that might be important. So if you click on, let's just go create a new lead, and you can see if we try to create a lead right here, it's going to say, sorry, company cannot be empty. Until we fill this out, we can't create the lead record. All right. Mandatory fields can be kind of a drag. I get that. You don't want to be a police state, just really being a stickler about what info your people are putting in. Let's say you make website mandatory, right? But then one of your employees goes and meets a client and says, hey, what's your website? And they say, I actually don't have a website. Well, what's going to happen? They're going to go and try and create a lead for that company, right? And they'll try to put a website in, and there is no website, right? So they'll just have to put something stupid like NA, except you can't put in NA because this is a website field. So you have to put NA.com, and all of a sudden it's a freaking big headache, and everyone at your company hates you and hates Zoho CRM. So we are very careful about which fields that we make mandatory. You click on this these little three dots, and you can uncheck the mark as required box, uncheck it. Maybe something is absolutely mandatory, but in my experience, be very careful about what you decide is mandatory. You can click save, and you'll see that when we go to create a new lead, that it won't actually force us to fill out the company or the website field anymore. We test, and it doesn't require a company. Another really nice way to organize fields is go to new fields, and there's this little new section. Now this is very nice for organizing these fields so they're a little bit more regimented and divvied up into their own little blocks, right? So we'll say that this section is contact information, and rather than lumping everything in together, we'll put email and phone, mobile, secondary email, Twitter, and email opt-out all into this section. So that's one way that you can kind of clean things up and make them more visually appealing and easy to navigate for your users. Next up, we will look at actually removing fields. So if you click on these three dots to the right of a field, you can actually remove it completely from showing up in Zoho CRM. So just clean it out. Fax has got to go. No one uses this anymore. In a financial planning group, when are you going to be faxing stuff? I mean, you can just email attachments or have people scan them and email them to you, right? So we don't need to deal with that. Click settings, remove field. It will say, hey, do you want to remove it? You say, yep. Now don't worry. When you click remove field, that doesn't actually completely delete the field. It does not delete any data. You're just hiding that field for now. So don't do it too haphazardly, but don't worry that you're just nuking their entire CRM. So let's go ahead and clean up the next one. Let's do title. We don't care as much about that, right? Remove that, and then Skype ID will remove as well. So that's how you remove fields. One other thing to note, some fields are system default, like last name, and just can't be removed. There aren't very many of those, but just something to consider.
One thing that you'll notice when you're trying to remove fields is sometimes you'll go into remove things like the industry fields. You'll click remove field, and it will say you cannot remove this field as it is used in the following places. This is a default blueprint, which we'll talk about later, that is using this field. All you really need to know is that, well, you aren't really using this. So you can actually click on this link. See how these are hyperlinked, and it will take you to the part of the CRM where it is in use. This is a blueprint. Again, we'll talk about those later, but this just came kind of system default and we don't really care about it. So we're actually just going to click delete. And now if we click save and go to remove the industry field again, it's going to let that. So again, sometimes you'll need to go in and remove the field from another place in the CRM in order to be able to remove it from the layout. All right, important distinction to note. There's a difference between removing and deleting a field. In our case, we have removed them, right? And they show up in this unused field section. Then when you look at the unused field section, you'll see a little trash can icon, and it says you cannot delete standard fields. What that means is removing a field just makes it kind of disappear. We're hiding it. No one needs to worry about it, but it doesn't actually delete any of the data associated with it. You can always add it back in. Deleting a field is removing it entirely. It no longer exists. There's no memory of it. Any data we had in that field is now gone forever. So let's take a look at deleting a field. We click on favorite animal. We need to remove it first, right? Now it's up here in our unused fields category. You can see the little trash bin. We click on that and it says data will be deleted permanently. It's gone. Can't get it back. Ready, go. That field is now gone forever. So it's really important to note that most of the fields you remove at the beginning are standard fields and they can't be deleted. But there are, as you start making custom fields, you do get the option of deleting them permanently. And a lot of times it is cleaner to just delete them permanently if you don't need the data in there anymore. All right, lucky you. We get to talk about my favorite concept from Zoho CRM, custom fields. Now, you may have noticed, hey, a lot of these fields that we've been working with are really, really generic. They're important, right? You need an email, you need a phone number, you need a first name, you need a last name, but we're a financial planning company. There's nothing here at all that talks about our customers' financial plans or financial status or whatever. We don't have information that's specific to our business model. And that's a great question. Zoho actually gives you the flexibility to put fields in to gather information that's unique to your business model. So for instance, financial planning company, we probably want to know, hey, maybe what is the total net worth of our clients and how much money do they have currently in IRAs or something crazy financial mumbo jumbo like that. So let's put in the financial details section. It says, okay, drag and drop fields here. You'll see on this left side, we can drag in fields of any of the different data types. If you're confused about what these data types are, I'll put a link in to link back to the video where we talked about data types. But let's start with total net worth as a field that we'd like to track information on. We just drag in this currency field. We'll say total net worth. And then I'll explain more in the next video, but make sure you check this little deals box right here. It will actually create the same field in the deals module, which we'll talk more about. So total net worth is in there. Great. And then let's also put in another currency field, which we'll call total amount in IRAs. And again, check that box next to deals. So now we have two fields that we've created that gather and store information that is really unique to our business model, right? Zoho CRM wasn't going to ship its product to everyone with a total net worth field because not everyone needs that field, but we do, and we were able to create it really, really easily by just dragging and dropping. All right, any talk of fields requires talking about different data types, which I have here. So we have about 8 or 9 different beginning data types that we'll talk through. There are some advanced ones you will cover later, but they're pretty straightforward. I think you'll understand them from these examples. So first off, we have a string or single line field. And this is about as simple as it gets, right? It's
just free entry. You can put in numbers, letters, whatever you want. And this is where you'd put, my favorite animal is an elephant, right? And you can't put a paragraph in here. The idea of it is somewhere between 1 and 400 characters that you can slip in there. So now, tweet length review of avatar. This is a multi-line field. We can actually put in more than one line, right? So this is what you want to have a paragraph. Avatar is great. There were too many blue, tall aliens making out. There you go. 2 lines. Multi-line field is great for that extra information, right? Really, really good for notes fields or customers answering survey questions, stuff like that. An email field, I'm insulting your intelligence by even talking about this. The difference between an email field and a single line field is it's pretty cool. You can have an email show up and it's actually hyperlinked. So a single line field and an email, it's actually hyperlinked and creates an email to that email. That's nice. Phone number is really the same way. Again, same exact idea, but has a little hyperlink. Now here's where they get really, really interesting. Pick list fields are amazing, amazing, amazing. They let you kind of force people into picking one or the other answers. So rather than trusting people to kind of free form their response in a single line field, you force them into asking a question. So do you like Neapolitan ice cream? There's only 3 answers in the entire world. So we'll say yes. And then multi-select pick list field is great if you want to give people multiple options, right? So which episode of The Office is best? Well, there's only 4 choices, and you can say, you know what, Dinner Party, obviously, but I also like The Job. It's also a good one, sentimental favorite. And so you have 2 options you've selected, the multi-select pick list field. Date, time, or we'll cover date first. Abraham Lincoln's birthday. Abe Lincoln's birthday. Is it in February? I'm an idiot. We literally celebrate that. Stupid Peter. I'm not even at all a patriot. 1809. Good times. Good to track that. Zoho CRM apparently has calendar date entries for 1809. And then we have a date time field, right, where things are both a date and a time. And so that's just slightly different. Maybe if we wanted to track Abraham Lincoln's exact time of birth, maybe that is pertinent information. Ja Rule's net worth is a currency field. He's currently worth $1. And that's just nice for people that like seeing commas and currency signs. And seconds for light to travel between New York and Los Angeles. That is a decimal field that we're going to use because it takes 0.0012. Click save so you can see all these. I guess you can't. I should have said millisecond. I guess you can't put a ton of number. I don't know decimals. Anyways, can't put a lot of those. This makes sense, right? Different data types. It's all just information, all just in fields, but different types of data that Zoho CRM stores differently for different reasons.
All right, I want you to get more familiar with the idea of creating these custom fields, getting more familiar with the types that you might work with. So again, please watch the data types video. I'll link to it again if you are wondering what the heck a single line or a multi-line or whatever is. I'm assuming you understand that. So let's just take a look at this creation screen. We'll make a pick list that says, are you interested in creating a will? ? So now let's look at a pick list. In a pick list, think of it as multiple choice, right? We have multiple choices. They're choosing one. So we'll maybe say yes, and then no, and then I need to know more about what a will is. So there's 3 different options that we can ask our customers and get their response to, and we can sort them into different services or make sure we do a class on will writing or something like that. A few other things to note in here. You can add almost as many selections as you want. You can get like 20 or 30 plus. So you can get pretty granular with the pick list.
You can add options in bulk, which is kind of nice. So if you have 30 that you need to add, you can just say yes, no, brown, blue, old. Um, and then there is an idea of a default value, which is kind of nice, where you can say, hey, when this record is created, let's just go ahead and assume that everyone says, yes, I'm interested in creating a will. So that will default this field to that value. If you don't do that, you can see it's going to default to none as an empty pick list value. We can talk more about these in the future. The final thing I want you to look at is the idea of a tooltip. Tooltips are kind of nice. You can put in a little snippet, a little message about what the field is used for so that your users can see. So let's say this field is necessary so we can set them up with a will writing workshop. And we'll click done, and I'll show you what that looks like on the front end. So we'll go into our leads, create a new lead. And you can see that, are you interested in creating a will, has this little info box that you can hover over that brings up that tooltip. So those are the things you're going to kind of be looking at as you're creating a field. There's definitely more options. We'll in the next video take some time to create a bunch of different types of fields so you can get more used to it. But that's those are some of the basics.
Now it's time to cover a really, really helpful feature in Zoho CRM. This one takes a little bit of getting used to, but I think you'll really enjoy it. It's the idea of related lists. Now, I want to cover them kind of overall before we jump into any specific ones. A related list is a record of its own that is related back to a master record. So to not use herky-jerky, weird, esoteric Zoho language, try and explain it in English, we have a DeLorean deal record. We'll call this the master deal record. If we create a note in here that says, make sure to mention Marty's cool car when talking to him, and click save, we've now created a note record, and that note record is related back to the deal record, hence related list. So the entire Zoho CRM database ends up being this group of linked records. A better way to show it to you would be looking at the account of DeLorean. Look on the left side under related list, you can see the account DeLorean has one note record, the one we just created, right? It's related back to the deal and the account. The account of DeLorean has one deal, also called DeLorean. That's the $25,000 deal we've been discussing with Marty McFly. You can see Marty McFly is a contact record, again, on this related list. So all of these records in Zoho CRM end up being interrelated, and this left side of the screen is where you can see, hey, what's going on there? And then it's if you click on it, it's just a little shortcut that takes you down to the bottom of the screen of the record view that shows you a list of all the related records. Now I want you to practice creating related records for an account that we've created. If you feel comfortable with adding notes, attachments, deals, contacts, tasks, etc., fantastic. Don't worry about this. But if you would like some practice, let's go ahead and do it. Go ahead and click on the Accounts module. Click on any of the accounts you've created from your lead conversions earlier in this course. You can click on DeLorean, we'll do in this case. And now I want you to create one of a few of these related records. So I'll start doing it. Feel free to follow along. I'm going to click this plus button and add a note. Marty has to get back to 1985 ASAP. Click save. We just added a note related record. Let's now add an attachment. I'm going to click upload file, and I'll just find something on my desktop. A random screenshot. This is perfect. So I'll attach a screenshot. We now have a attachment related record related back to the accounts module attached to, or this picture is attached and we can see it on the left-hand side. And click into it and we can see this attachment. It says, I am a god. That's totally correct. Don't question why I have that screenshot. Now let's go into deals. If you click plus on deals, this is fantastic. This should make sense to you now, understanding kind of how deals and accounts are related. This just brought up a new deal record creation screen. Well, let's say the deal name is DeLorean Financial Training. This is our second deal we're going to do with them. This one's again for $10,000 and it will close on the 31st and it's just in the qualification stage. You click save, you'll see that now we have two related deals. The one we've been initially talking about, that's for $25,000, and now a new deal. Again, related record. Contact is the same thing. I forget, what is Marty's wife's name in Back to the Future? Whatever, we'll just do Doc Brown. That was the obvious one to choose. Sorry for anyone raging at me right now on my Back to the Future lore, my lack of knowledge of Back to the Future lore. We click save in this contact. All of a sudden we have two related contacts back to the account. Activities, we'll talk more about this in a couple videos, but we can create tasks. Follow up with Marty McFly. Click save. You start to see that this account of DeLorean, where Marty McFly works, now has a lot of related records, note records, attachment records, deals records, contacts records, activities or task records, and it goes on and on and on there's almost unlimited potential of records we can relate to each other using Zoho CRM. Finally, I want to talk about the activities module. Similar to notes and attachments, the activities module shows up on pretty much every record in Zoho CRM. I happen to be in a deal record right now, but you can create activities related to leads, contacts, deals, accounts. You can kind of create them wherever you want. An activity, there are three types. Right now, I am just going to be talking about tasks. A task is extremely useful to create in Zoho CRM. It's a fantastic reminder of, hey, I need to do something to make this deal progress further. So in this case, we will click on Open Activities and plus task, and we will create a task for ourselves to follow up with Marty McFly about his trip to the past. Is that common knowledge that Marty McFly went to the past? Like, do all his friends know about it? Does he talk about it at parties? I don't know. Good questions to ask. So we can do a few things here. We can set a due date. Hey, we need to do this by June 15th, 2020. We can set priorities. Hey, this is actually highest priority. It could be a really big client. You can set a new user and assign it to certain people. That's really nice for all my micromanagers out there. And then my personal favorite is the ability to create reminders. I usually like to say either on the due date, or you can say on 15 days before the due date at 9 a.m. You can set reminders to repeat, and you can have it either email you or put a pop-up that appears here in the bottom right of the screen, or you can have it do both. I usually, with most clients, go with email to start with because it gets them kind of used to completing their tasks. So we will save this task. Now you can see it shows up under Open Activities. It's also kind of cool if you click into the deals list view, you can see that this has an open task. You can hover over it and see what's going on. You can click on that June 15th and it'll bring up the task. And we can now close the task. Let's say that we followed up. Mark is completed. And now if we go back to the deals module and look at the DeLorean deal that I created the task associated, or that I associated the task to, it's now under closed activities, tasks that were completed. Okay, if you feel comfortable with creating tasks and have already done so, skip this video. If you want a little bit more of a walkthrough, we're going to create a few tasks. First, start in the leads module. Pick one of your leads. I'll do Michael Jordan. And then again on the left side, create a task under open activities. Click this plus button, plus task, and we'll call it Remember Michael's Birthday. I don't happen to know Michael Jordan's birthday off the top of my head, but June 30th sounds like a great guess. And we'll set a reminder to alert us via email on his birthday. Done and save. We'll now go to a deal record. So click on any deal records that you've created. And we'll create another task. Open activities plus task. Create a product demo for them. Due date, May 30th, and remind me via email. Save. So now you know how to create tasks. And then finally, I want you to get experience closing them. So we'll go back to the lead that we created Michael Jordan's task for. Click on Michael Jordan under open activities. Click on it. It will drop you down to his tasks. And click this little checkbox. You say mark is completed, and now that task is closed and won't show up anymore. I'd like to spend some more time talking about the attachments module and attachment records. So let's go ahead and go back to a deal. So click on the deals tab, and then let's click into a deal that you have already created. Again, I'll go back to this DeLorean deal. You see that we don't have any attachments. Attachments are files that we want to be immediately accessible to anyone logged into the CRM. This could be contracts, quotes, scope documents, pictures, literally anything, any file that could be useful for other users to see. Now, let's talk about how this ends up looking. Most often, your clients will click on attachments. Again, on this left related list, it'll bring them to the attachments section, or they can just click the plus button right here. You have a few options. You can click upload file. This is, I'd say, the most standard that most people are doing. And I have screenshots that I'm often attaching to records like this. So I find it in my file explorer. It works the same way on Windows. I'm on a Mac, and you click open, just like attaching any other document in any other web app. You click attach. This is now uploaded. It tells you who attached it, when they attached it, how big it is. And if you click into it, you're able to see a preview of the picture. Sometimes it takes forever. We won't wait around for it. Oh, there it is. Okay, great. So again, that's kind of a very standard way that many users handle attachments. There are pretty solid other options that I'm going to talk about in the next video about attaching from your existing cloud storage. We'll talk about that in the next video. Just be aware of the attachments. Every single module has it. So the deals module has attachments. Let's go ahead and scroll up in the record and click into the account module. You can make attachments to an account. Let's click into a contact record, Marty McFly. You can make attachments for a contact. You can make them for leads. And pretty much any record in Zoho CRM has the capability of accepting attachments. Another really exciting feature about attachments is the ability to attach files that are stored on the cloud that aren't necessarily uploaded into Zoho CRM. It's linking to cloud storage that you have elsewhere. So let's actually show you how this works using Zoho Workdrive. If you feel comfortable already doing this and you understand what I'm getting at, feel free to skip this video. But for those that would like to understand a little bit more about cloud drives and why someone would want to do this, follow along. Let's go ahead and open a new tab and go to one.zoho.com. This brings up our Zoho One admin, and we are going to go ahead and go to the admin panel. Click on Applications and double check to see that Workdrive is already here. If Workdrive is not here, then click Add Applications, search Applications, and click Workdrive, and there should be a little Add button. But it probably will add it by default, so it should already be there. If it is there and you're ready to go, or you've added it, click on a new tab, click or type in workdrive.zoho.com. You can click X out of this tour to skip. We'll skip it for now. And now I won't go in depth. There's another video course that we're coming out with details on how to use Workdrive. But suffice to say, click into this general folder and click plus new folder. And we're going to call this, we'll call it Marty McFly. Click into this folder. Click here to upload. Select a file from your computer. Upload it into this file. Doesn't matter what file, we're just testing it. And now you have a folder. And now if we go back to our Zoho CRM tab, you can click into, in this case, I will be doing a deal, but again, you can make an attachment in any record you want. I'll click on Attachments Plus, and then rather than Upload File, click on Zoho Workdrive. And it brings up, look at your Workdrive. You can either search for the file. It doesn't have it in my folders. General folder, there it is. Select it and click Pick. It's asking you who will be able to view this. Do you want anyone who's added to Workdrive? Or usually I would say anyone with the link. So anyone in CRM that can see this attachment will be able to click on this link. You click on this link and it brings the folder. Why would someone want to do a link to a Workdrive or Google Drive or Zoho Docs folder rather than a upload? Well, uploads work great for very, very small files. Links to Workdrive work great if you have a file that you're going to be consistently uploading data to, and you don't want to have to go through the trouble of adding attachments each and every time to CRM. It's a nice way to establish a connection once and then forget about it. And as files get added to this folder, they'll automatically be linked to this CRM. The following feature is really cool. It's the timeline feature. Going to show you everything that's ever happened to a record. It lets you be able to see the entire past. You're going to be able to put Time Lord as your title on your business card. Things are going to be great. So let's just say we're talking with Marty McFly at the DeLorean company. And okay, our stage has moved on. We've gotten to a proposal and price quote. And after talking with our boy Marty, we decide that, this is actually a $25,000 deal, right? This isn't peanuts. We're going for the big time. Debbie Money does not do cheap deals. So we've changed some things. And now we click on this timeline button right here, and you can see everything that's ever happened with this record. This is very, very rudimentary, simple information, just fields getting updated. You can see that our stage was updated, probability and expected revenue were automatically updated in the back end. The amount field was updated. You can see that we converted the lead, Marty McFly, into a deal. That's how we got here. So anytime you're wondering what the heck happened with a given record, you just check the timeline and you'll see everything. You'll also, it's really cool, you'll see emails that have been sent, emails that were opened and clicked, any changes that any user has made. And again, you'll see a user and a timestamp or a date stamp and then a timestamp right here. So really, really useful feature to be aware of.